Well, hey guys, it's Thor, Sandalwood here, and today I really wanted to talk about this Rahu transit that's happening through the nakshatra of Krittika because I think it's so important to everything that's going on. If you guys have been paying attention to the media, even social media, you guys have been seeing that there's a lot of tension out there. I can't go on any type of internet forum or comment section of various YouTube videos or TikTok videos, and I just feel this tension and this anger and this resentment that's out there, and we can feel there's a lot of tension. And we are in some moments right now, especially with Rahu transiting Krittika, where it's interesting. Krittika, we're in a critical moment, and one of the things that we know about Krittika is that during 2003, oh, how you doing, Myra? During 2003, this is when we had the 2003 Iraq invasion. So Krittika is associated with war. A lot of people that have Krittika prominent in their charts, like if they have it as their rising nakshatra or maybe their moon is in Krittika, these typically are very executive type people that usually become leaders, and in ancient times we described them as becoming war generals. So we're going to take a look at that today. I have a little bit of a presentation to share with you guys and a little bit of observations about what's happening now, and I want us to keep this in mind, this Rahu and Krittika portion, or in our minds all the way till July, because this is going to be playing in the background during this next 8 months. And I feel like we're at a real pivotal point as a civilization, as a culture, and it's a little bit, I'm a little bit nervous that there might be the prospect of war, and that's why I called it The Prospect of War, the title of this video. So let me take you to the presentation I have, guys. By the way, if you guys like this content, I do I do astrology readings, and we did do some cryptocurrency readings, and I'm planning on resuming some more readings in the future. So get ready for those. I also have a TikTok channel if you guys are interested in checking me out there. I talk a lot more about all types of other issues on my TikTok if you're interested in a little more broader philosophies, more than just specifically astrology, which the YouTube channel is about. So please like and subscribe. And also, guys, we already hit 1,000 subscribers, so that's pretty cool. And so now the goal is 2,000 subscribers. Let's double it. I want the goal to be actually 10,000, but let's make little steps here. So we're going to go to the next slide of the presentation here, and I want to take you guys through really what's happening right now. Like, let's look at the dates. Let's look at what Krittika means. Remember, Rahu is just like the north node of the moon when you're looking at Western astrology. So in Vedic astrology, or the astrology of ancient India, we call that Rahu, and Rahu is a demon that was cut in half, and its lower half is Ketu, so it's almost like a serpent-like being. Rahu shows why our soul manifests down here. Rahu also exaggerates things. Whatever it comes in contact with, it tends to exaggerate. So when we're looking at a collective karma, the planets we really want to look at, and let me shut this for a second, guys. The planets we really want to look at are Saturn, that's really important, and Rahu and Ketu. Those are usually the most important transiting planets to look at in a chart. Otherwise, when we're doing personal readings, like if you guys get a personal reading with me, we're looking a lot at your Mahadashas and your Bhuktis. So transiting planets, they're not as important when we're looking at how karma is unfolding. It does play a part, but we look at the Mahadashas and Bhuktis. But when we're looking at world collective karma, we are very concerned about where Rahu is, where Saturn is, where Jupiter is, especially the outer planets, because they tend to manifest more heavily what's going on. So let's take a look at Rahu and Krittika, guys. Rahu is going to be, well, it's already been in Krittika. It started September 19th, 2021, and it's going to be there till July 12th, 2022. So we have a good window of time where Rahu is going to be transiting Krittika. Krittika, the nakshatra, guys, is a star constellation that spans 26 degrees of Aries to 10 degrees of Taurus. So Rahu right now is transiting backwards through Taurus, and then it's going to enter the sign of Aries. So I want to make it very clear to you guys that these nakshatras are these star constellations. It bridges two signs. So we see most of Krittika is in the sign of Taurus, that 10 degrees of Taurus. And then we got 4 or 5 degrees of Aries that's part of Krittika as well. And I see this as a bridge, especially when we're talking about Krittika being warfare, kind of this war idea or cutting to the truth. We'll get a little more specific in the presentation. But it's cutting to the truth like a razor. And then we go into Aries, and Aries, as you guys know, Aries is the god of war. It's ruled by Mars. It rules warfare. So this a lot of times can be the bridge that leads us to this conflict, this war that we might engage in. Let's take a look at that again. So Rahu is going to be entering the Aries portion of Krittika March 17th, 2022. So anytime during this time, we are in the danger zone here. Aries is associated with the god of war. It's ruled by Mars. Okay. Now, I don't mean to make this video to really be scaring people, because I know right now there's a lot of fear in the world about where are we going, what's going on. But I think awareness is important, because when we're manifesting something like a war or we're manifesting conflict, you got to remember the collective consciousness, this inner conflict is going to be manifested in the world as outer conflict. So this is something that's emerging because we keep on being, as a people, stuck in fear, stuck in anger, until it expresses itself physically. That's how manifestation works. We have a collective karma, and we manifest these things as co-creators. We're all creating our reality. So let's go. I wanted to talk a little bit about the planetary situation as well, guys. So as of October 24, 2021, I think this is important for this overall backdrop of this prospect of war. So we got the supply chain tensions, and a lot of people are aware of that, especially in the United States. We've been hearing it all over the news. There's hundreds of cargo ships off of California. At least that's what I last heard. Maybe there are not as many cargo ships. There's starting to be shortages of food, supplies, computer chips. And the pandemic's still in the news. We got tensions over Taiwan. That's a possible flashpoint. And we have building anger and resentment. This is all a recipe for war. So if you think about, if you study history, we got these shortages. Remember, wars are a lot of times happen over resources, over greed, over especially things like food. Like people, a lot of times in history, when people don't have the food, that's when people grab the pitchforks. Just like if we look at the French Revolution, or we look at other conflicts around the world. So that's why we have this tension. We also have a lot of anger and resentment with just what's been going on with the last 2 years. We have a lot of people, they're angry and they're resenting the fact that there was these lockdowns, or people may have lost their jobs due to this, or people may have, been impacted in some sort of way, and they're just very angry about this all. So we have all this tension, which is a recipe for this to manifest in the outer world. Now let me take you further into the presentation here, and I'm clicking around here. Now let's take a look at the meaning of Krittika, because a lot of people might think, what is Krittika? We have 27 nakshatras that we use in Vedic astrology. So Krittika is just one of those 27 that we're using. But let's take a look. Each nakshatra is going to be ruled by a planet and also a deity that rules the nakshatra. So let's take a look at that so we can get an idea what this whole thing is. What is Rahu going to be magnifying as it's going through this nakshatra of Krittika? So we have Krittika meanings here. Krittika is ruled by the sun, Surya. And Surya is the Sanskrit term for sun. And guys, remember, sun is truth. It's associated with the god Agni, the god of fire. The Shakti of this nakshatra is the power to get to the truth. The symbol is a razor or a knife. Krittika cuts through the lies and gets to the truth no matter what the cost, associated with war that can lead to destruction. The important thing that I think that's to really think about what's going on with Krittika is it's important to know that this razor that we're talking about with Krittika, it's getting to the truth of things. So when you think of it, the only people that have anything to fear are people that are living not in truth, people that are living in deception, people that are not seeing things clearly. Because if you're living your life in alignment with the truth, if you're living your life in alignment with good teachings, good dharma, things like that, Krittika isn't going to be such a negative experience for you because you're living in alignment with the universe. So when we see the negative or the demonic Rakshasa way of Krittika, that's going to be because there's something that needs to expose. There's some sort of deception that needs to be cracked wide open. So let's take a look at my next. I wanted to talk about the importance of this cycle, and I had this come to me as a download as I was meditating, was this important concept in astrology, and it's really illustrated by the 8th house, guys. Now, I'm using the 8th house as a metaphor for what we're going through right now. So the 8th house is all about destruction and rebirth. So in our lives, in the world, as nations, as cultures, even on a personal level, we go through times of destruction where the old gets wiped away and something new is born. But something new can't be born until the old is cleared away from our lives. And that's even on a personal level. We know when you're trying to manifest something new in your life, a lot of times you have to get rid of that old thing that's blocking your path. So if you have, if you're trying to manifest a new career, a new job, but you're still clinging on to this old way of life, that can be blocking you from this new path, as an example. So let's take a look at this. The destruction and rebirth cycle. And this has a lot to do, when we go into Vedic mythology, or we look at Hinduism in general, we look at the god Shiva or goddess Kali, we can see that there are a lot of what the symbology behind it is this idea of destruction and rebirth. And we look at Shiva, it's destroying the universe, and then a new universe is created through these cosmic cycles. So destruction and rebirth, when times get decadent, there's a lot of ignorance, there's lies, there's deception, and these things entrench themselves. The old and the corrupt must be cleared away for a new birth. These cycles repeat themselves. Rahu and Aries can symbolize war, but it means as a means for something to be born, because Aries represents childbirth. So that's the important thing to remember, is Aries represents the first house in the natural zodiac. The first sign that we always look at is Aries. And Aries represents childbirth. It represents birth. That's why it also symbolizes blood, because there's, childbirth is a very intense experience. It's in some ways a very tamasic experience. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of, it's not pleasant. But the result of birth is this beautiful child that's born, this beautiful new being that's born. And that's what we're going through collectively right now. We're going through these growing pains. And that's what Krittika is going to be doing for us over this next 8 months, all the way from now, all the way until July. It's putting us through this catalyst period where we're going to have to get to the truth. And if there's been anything that we've been told about what's been going on, Krittika is going to make sure that we burn it down to the truth, that we get down to the truth of everything. So expect that during this time, there's going to be a lot of new truths revealed, things that you might have never been aware of before. Deceptions. We're seeing new reports every day coming out of what's been going on. Politically, economically, all these things are being revealed. And pretty soon, even the truth can be revealed in negative ways. The truth can be revealed through you entering the supermarket and you're not seeing food on the shelves anymore. Because what does that do to you? That makes you go, what's going on? What are we not being told? Why is the news telling me everything's fine? But yet I see no food on the shelves. Why is the news telling me there's plenty of food still? The type of thing we saw when we saw the end of the USSR back in 1991. They were being told there was plenty of food, even though there were bread lines. So we're in times like that right now, times of transition. And I want to talk about the type of war we're talking about, guys, because if you're wondering, when is this war going to start? In a lot of ways, this war has already started. We're already in this war. We're already in a war. The methods of warfare have changed quite a bit, so it's not always what you envision. You envision soldiers, you envision explosions, you envision kinetic warfare. Now it could manifest as that, because right now, since we're in this really spiritual, metaphysical, emotional, psychological war, we're in this place of things tending to manifest. And remember, the more we engage in this on a thought level, on an emotional level, on a psychological level, the more we're going to be pushing this to manifest on our physical plane. So let's take a look at that, guys. There's an information war going on. There's a cyber war. We hear about these hacks that are happening. There's a spiritual war, and then there's cultural wars that are happening right now. And the tensions of angry people can be seen on any internet forum right now if you guys are on there. There's a lot of anger. This collective anger leads to the manifestation of war and conflict. The emotional and psychological aspects of conflict lead to the physical manifestation on a collective level. This is the war within. So the only reason that there's a physical war that manifests is because there's an internal war happening collectively. And you guys, I think you can feel it. Just go on any internet forum where there's an issue where there's two very diametrically opposed peoples. And right now, we're in a very divisive world right now. And it's a war of narratives that's happening right now. And you're seeing just people getting angry with each other. You're seeing that manifested even in things like I've talked about in my previous videos. If you just go to get a hamburger at a fast food place, you're seeing people become unhinged. This is that psychic volcano of anger that's starting to manifest. People are really getting into a level of mass psychosis, and it's scary in a lot of ways. So what do we do about it? Because, okay, there might be this war. We're already in a war, and there might be this physical war. So what's the best tools that we can do to navigate this conflict that we're heading towards? And let's take a look at that, guys. What do we do? I wrote this because I thought, rather than just talk about Rahu transiting Krittika and Rahu entering Aries in March, and this could be a time of some sort of warfare, I want to also point, I don't want this to be a fear-based video or a fear-based message. I want you guys to be like, okay, what can I do right now to negate the fear? Because fear is really what's feeding all of this. Fear and anger. And anger is because of fear, okay? And anger is a response to fear. What do? The true conflict is within. Realizing the truth can be difficult. Truth can pierce us to our soul if we haven't been living truthfully. Consciousness wants to evolve, does not want to be subjected by the ego. We must settle the war within as a collective to ensure peace to come and to live in this place of a new birth. So all this anger, all this collective anger and resentment, it does need to vent. It does need to be released, and it needs to be healed. Or else we can't get to this new place that we want to be in, this age of peace. And it's a very sad time we live in, because we know we're seeing people heading towards that direction. I'm seeing comments on these forums of people advocating, they're advocating violence even towards one another, and it's getting very sad. And that's where we're seeing things collectively going. But through all this conflict and things that we may see happen in the near-term future, because I am predicting that for October, November, December of 2021, I think things are going to be very rocky. We could see a series of events, especially in December. I see some catalyst events happening that could cause some very serious things and some serious consequences. So I want you guys to be thinking about going within, doing your yoga, doing your meditation, trying to resolve that inner split that you might have in yourself. There's a channeler I listen to. Named Bashar, and maybe some of you guys are familiar with Bashar. But Bashar talks about this eye of the needle that we're going through. And what's the eye of the needle? The eye of the needle is this period of time we've been going through collectively since 2020, and it goes all the way till 2023, the eye of the needle, where what this is doing is we need to let go of all of our old resentments, all our old emotional baggage. Forgive who needs to be forgiven. Let go of all those resentments we have. Let go of that baggage, so we can manifest this beautiful new age of Aquarius reality that we're going to start to see the early manifestations of in 2023. Even in 2022, we're going to start seeing this new beautiful path open up on individual levels and collectively. Now, if you get yourself in a very positive state right now, you can start individually manifesting the kind of life you want. You don't have to wait for the collective. You can manifest the life that you want right now by getting your vibration very high. Be in that vibration of peace. Be in that vibration of tranquility. Those higher vibrations that are represented by the third eye and the crown chakra. That's where you want to be. So take this time as a learning experience. It's a time to, how do we let go of our anger? How do we let go of these things as individuals? Because the only thing we can do is our individual work. And as we heal ourselves as individuals, it helps the collective. And that's what I want you guys to be aware of during this time. We may be seeing some very scary events in the future. And it might feel, like our backs are collectively up against the wall. But through this fear, we're being made into this diamond, this beautiful consciousness. So I would like to leave you guys with that. I want to leave you guys with much peace, many blessings. I'm going to actually be doing another YouTube video next Sunday. So look for that video coming out. I'm going to try to get some more videos out on YouTube. Also, guys, if you guys want a personal astrology reading, please check out my website. It's going to be down below. Okay, I have a question. It says, if you can tell us something about societal division into Saturnian, Uranian, Neptunian, and Plutonian consciousness, especially in the times we are in today. Well, one of the things we have going on right now, which I misquoted in one of my previous videos, was we have this Uranus-Saturn aspect that's happening right now. And these aspects, especially with Pluto being in the sign of Capricorn with Saturn, these things can indicate revolutions, changes in government, changes in the financial system. So we see that kind of stuff is all in the mix. When we're talking about conflict and warfare, what I'm talking about is there is this old system. And in my previous video, I talked about there's this old system, pyramid system, This is what Saturn represents, that wants to stay in power. And a lot of people, the old system was quite comfortable for them. They had really made their bed in this old system. But the problem was is that old system was not working for everybody. It wasn't evolving consciousness. As we evolve consciously and consciousness, we realize it's not just about our own interest. It's not just about me making my own economic gain at the expense of everybody else. That's a lower level consciousness. When you get to a higher level consciousness, we develop compassion for others. We start realizing, wait, what I'm doing, it does affect other people. So as we're going through this timeline split, when we're talking about the 3D consciousness and 5D consciousness, especially people that are light workers, you guys that are empaths out there, you're realizing we need to start thinking of how our actions influence others. Why do you think we're having this great resignation right now? The great resignation thing, it is about wages. People aren't happy about wages. But people, quite frankly, a lot of the millennials or the Gen Zers, they just want to be treated better, treated with love, treated with respect. When people go to their workplaces, people want to be treated with love, appreciation, and respect. It's really basic, and that's where we're heading. So you'll notice the people that are still stuck in that lower level of consciousness, they can't grasp. What do you mean? They're getting a paycheck, so it doesn't matter if they get respect, love, and appreciation. But it does matter, because that's what consciousness is leading us to. It does matter how you treat people. It does matter if you make people feel good. It does matter. All those things matter. So guys, if you guys appreciate it, please like, subscribe. Please let me know down below, guys, what you think about what's happening right now in astrology, or what's just happening in general. And if you guys want a reading, again, check out down below. You can go to my website. 20% off if you use discount code Thor. And that's for fall. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one.